All right, so what a stressful few weeks, and honestly today I'm still in my PJs under this hoodie. So the end of May, your girl had a tick bite, an attached tick. I don't know how long it was attached to me for. It was like behind my knee, and I'm pretty good about doing tick checks. If I'm ever outside, I'm really good about doing tick checks. I try to be super careful about spraying. If I go outside with some tick spray, I try to wear insect shield clothing if I'm going to be like at a local park with my dad sitting and watching snapping turtles. I really try to be so careful. And so I don't know when I got this tick, but it was attached. I don't know how long for, like I said, but it was itchy. That's how I found it. Is I was like, what is going on? I was like scratching, and I felt the bump, which if you've had a tick bite before and you feel the tick, you're like, it's like this sinking feeling. And I'll talk about this in a bit, but it gives me so much PTSD to even see a tick. After being sick for 12 years, the anniversary was, I think it's like June 12th, and it was 12 years on June 12th of being chronically ill since getting a tick bite, and that was the start of my whole journey. I actually never saw the tick. I just started having a fever. I started having not one bullseye, but like all of these weird bullseyes all over my body that started really small, and then they grew to be really big, like the size of a softball. And they kind of looked like bullseyes, but not super. It was a very strange start to the whole journey, but I then was tested for Lyme and tested positive. And I also had a co-infection as well. So that was 12 years ago, and I have been chronically sick since then. I've gone up and down in my functioning, but the reason I went up in my functioning is because I was in the fight or flight, which I talked about before. But that started my whole chronic illness journey, and we don't know what of my symptoms were from the endometriosis, which was confirmed in my surgery last month. But anyway, I have extreme PTSD, even seeing a tick. I used to be a little bit worse. Now I don't start crying, but I do absolutely freak out if it is attached to me, because I rarely have attached ticks because I'm so darn careful. So last month, end of May, I had an attached tick, and it was very itchy, like I said. So it had been there a while. We don't know how long. And unfortunately, after we took the tick off, you want to take it off without pinching the head, because then it can release whatever is in its body. Like if you pinch the whole body, it can release everything in, and then you're even more likely to get Lyme or co-infections. So what you want to do is, there's this tick taker offer where, like, say this is the tick, there's like this little tong, and you grab it and then you just gently pull it off so it just slowly releases and comes out. And you don't want it to like lose its head in you, because that just, the whole thing just sucks, but that's even worse. So we took the tick off. Over the next couple of days, it continued getting itchier, and it almost had a bullseye-like appearance. I think I took some pictures, so if I did, I'll insert them here. But it wasn't a traditional bullseye, but it was looking a little red and yellow, and it looking a little bullseye-y. And that was absolutely terrifying. Also, I'm in the fight or flight today because I've just been calling all of my doctors again, because as I'm going to get into, my symptoms have progressively been getting worse, like all these new symptoms I've been having. And so I've just been like frantically calling doctors and stuff. So I am really in the fight or flight. I'm so exhausted, but I seem semi-coherent, I think, because of that. Anyway, so immediately I contacted my doctor and I said, look, I've had an attached tick and I think I really need to get on Doxy, like ASAP. There goes baby. My doctor was like, they didn't respond until the next day. No, this is what happened. I called them because they weren't responding. I called them and I said, look, you know, I need to get on Doxy ASAP because I've had this before. And you know, the sooner you get on doxycycline, the faster, hopefully it's gonna kill those spirochetes that are in you that are potentially Lyme or other co-infections, which there's several. There's Babesia, I think that's one I've had before. There's Bartonella, Auricula or something. Rocky Mountain Fever is a tick-borne illness. Ehrlichia, I think is what the other one's called. Rickets or something is a tick-borne. There's a bunch. So there's so many things you can get from ticks. That's why they are the bane of my existence. There's no good reason for them to be on the earth. Kind of like mosquitoes. They just spread bad stuff. So anyway, so contacted my doctor through my portal, no response. So I called the nurse. They said, okay, we're sending it to Walgreens that night. Kept calling Walgreens, they hadn't received it. So the next morning, called again. Finally, they sent it, went in and got my Doxy. So I started Doxy. So I was on 2 weeks of doxycycline, which if you've never been on Doxy, it is an antibiotic, little baby girl. And at least I don't know if everyone, but at least I always become photosensitive. And so what that means is that if you go out in the sun on Doxy, because I've been on it before when I was a lot younger, and you just get burned like that. As soon as you're in the sun, you can start feeling your skin burning, and especially on your hands. I have had a hand sunburn before because the Doxy makes you so sensitive to the sun. And so I was so careful. I was like, and then this sucked because it was beautiful weather at the end of May into June, right? So I was like, it just sucked. I couldn't be outside in the sun at all because I was immediately start burning. And I was out in the sun one day for like 10 minutes before 10 a.m. and my skin just felt, it didn't look burned to look at it, but it felt almost like there was icy hot on it, and I could tell for several days after that it was so incredibly sensitive. So Doxy sucks to be on. It is not fun to be on, especially in the summer. And so that was a really horrendous experience, but you have to do it because Lyme just destroys your life and co-infections destroy your life, as I know from having them destroy my life. So we did that. I did, 14 days of Doxy. And then I started noticing new symptoms. It started slow. They were very slow at first, and some of them were a little inconsistent. And so I didn't necessarily super notice them at first because my body's always having weird symptoms and signs and stuff like that. But it has progressed to this point now where I have terrifying symptoms. And unfortunately, we don't know, and hopefully by next week we will know, because I've gotten a bunch of testing done. So I got blood work for Lyme and for all of the stuff, and that hasn't come back yet, all the co-infections, but it hasn't come back yet. So hopefully we'll know more information next week. And I have a PCP doctor's appointment next week, and I have an appointment with my endo doctor, but we don't know right now if these new symptoms are from the tick bite. Possibly they could be side effects from Doxy, but I've been off Doxy long enough that I don't think that's true anymore. Or these new symptoms could be side effects from the endometriosis meds that I'm on, because I've looked them up and they are all side effects of my implant injection for endometriosis called Zoladex. And some of them are side effects for the other meds that I'm on. So that's terrifying. So we are trying to figure out what's going on, because I'm going to get into this a lot more in next week's vlog, but I have symptoms of nerve damage. I have symptoms of neuropathy, which is the word for nerve damage. And it started as a burning feeling. It started as a burning feeling in my feet. And I just noticed, like, at night, I, for some reason, can only sleep with my feet touching each other. And I was like, why are my feet burning? It feels like they're burning, and that's super weird. And it just gradually got worse and worse and worse, and it started inching up my calves. So this burning feeling is just like this burning pain. If I put my hands together, it's like burning hot. It's like, yeah, that's, spoiler alert, they're in my hands now too. But if I put any of my skin that is experiencing this together, it's like a burning hot feeling. So it started inching up my calves like last week. And then over the weekend and at the beginning of this week, it entered my hands as well. That's just terrifying, period, if you just have those symptoms. And then not only do I have that sign of neuropathy, I have many more symptoms and signs of neuropathy as well. So I have started having kind of like vertigo, but it was like this dizziness. And at first I noticed it because I was like in the shower washing my hair, and I was like, why am I so dizzy? And I have a shower chair, so I sat down, but then it started happening when my eyes were open as well. And so at this point I have really bad balance. The whole world feels like, not that it's spinning, but my center of balance, I don't have it anymore. And so like, if I'm not sitting, if I'm standing, if I'm walking, whatever, it's pretty scary because it doesn't feel like I can correct my sense of balance and like correct not falling over. So that was absolutely terrifying. That's a sign of neuropathy as well. I'm looking at my list of symptoms now because my brain fog has gotten so bad. I don't know if that's neuropathy too, but Like it's really difficult to think about anything. My feet feel swollen, so I started noticing it at first anytime I had my feet down, and this is also a symptom of POTS, so I just over time have like tried to elevate, but usually it was like, oh, if my feet are down all day, then I'd really want to elevate them. Now it's anytime my feet are down, so if I'm sitting, whatever, standing, whatever, they become incredibly uncomfortable and they feel like they're swelling. So really, I try to have my feet elevated at all times, and that's a symptom of neuropathy. They're also puffy. I also have just had terrible balance. Like I've been knocking into stuff more. That's been gradually getting worse, and that's a symptom of neuropathy. I've been having a muscle spasm. My index finger has been doing this. I took a video of it at one point, this muscle spasm for like a couple of weeks now, and that's a symptom of neuropathy. I've had like ringing in my ears. That started probably even before April, but it started kind of happening much more frequently now. That's a possible symptom of neuropathy. I have like an urgency to pee, so bladder issues can be from neuropathy as well. They thought I had a UTI. That's a whole other thing that I'll get into in the next vlog, but I'm thinking it's possibly from this like nerve damage. And I've also just been having really weird digestive symptoms. Like I almost threw up last weekend. I've been having like diarrhea, like my digestive tract is just all over the place. So who knows, right? Who knows which of these symptoms are possible neuropathy? Are they from the tick bite? Are they from just a random stomach bug or a sickness that's going around? Like we just don't know. And I have lit a fire under the butt of my doctors being like, look, this is starting to actually terrify me because nerve damage can be permanent. And this is incredibly uncomfortable. My hands burning is like not okay. And the other pain and stuff is just not okay, and I want this figured out. I want us to roll out things. I want us to like figure out if this is my med so I don't get any more Zoladex injections. Like this is just, it's terrifying. So that is the current situation. I don't know if I have another tick-borne illness. We're still waiting on the test results for those things. We're just waiting. We're in this waiting period, and that's so frustrating and scary because my symptoms are just continuing to get worse day by day. So I will have more information hopefully next week. And this is just in addition to continuing to have debilitating fatigue, brain fog, and my endometriosis pain that has never gone away. Well, it did go away for 6 days after surgery, but I mean, it's not gone away since then. So it's just been incredibly frustrating. It's exhausting having to advocate for yourself again and again and contact the doctors again and again. I've been contacting pharmacists to ask about the side effects from these meds. I've been you have to do so much. And it's all on the patient to push because these doctors are just like not taking it seriously yet. So hopefully by next week, we will know what the hell's going on because I'm scared. Like this is actually terrifying because if this damage is permanent, that's another life-changing thing that's gone on. So that's where I'm at. A lot of PTSD being triggered right now, a lot of stress and sensory overload. I don't know if that's a neuropathy symptom, but I've just been so overwhelmed, and any sound like puts me over the edge and I just kind of almost melt down. So it's just been a really tough couple of weeks while all this has been going on, but I'm really hoping I have more information next week. Thank you for listening. I hope you are not having to go through these symptoms, but if you are, we'll go through them together. And if you have any feedback, if you've ever experienced this before or anything, please let me know, because these are all new symptoms to me. I'm collecting them like little Pokemon cards or whatever, these new symptoms, and I hate it. So I'd like my body to stop collecting. Anyway, hope you're having a great week, and I will see you all next week. Fingers crossed with more information. Bye, friends.